Oh, what a 2 weeks it has been for Sunderland. 2 weeks ago tonight we were getting beat off Shrewsbury Town away, but tonight we have made it 3 straight wins in the league. 4 if you include our penalty victory in the Pizza Trophy. And all is rosy in the world of Sunderland. We've had the takeover of Kyril Louis-Dreyfus. That is confirmed now. We've heard his interview and the optimism is running wild. We've had thumping wins. 4-1 against Doncaster Rovers. 3-0 against Burton Albion. We've made a Wembley final, and tonight we eased past one of our bogey teams 2-0 at the Stadium Light, giving them 0 shots in the process. I would say it was pretty cool to beat a former manager, but I didn't actually mind Simon Grayson. I think he had a pretty harsh time with Sunderland, so that's a bit of a side note, but yeah, I don't really mind Simon Grayson. I hold no ill will towards him. So let's jump straight into the match. It was a pretty boring first half. I spent most of the first half scrolling on my phone. I'm currently not using Twitter all that much, so I deleted that off my phone, so I wasn't using that. I was just kind of keeping in group chats, seeing what was happening. But yeah, first half, Fleetwood started pretty bright, but after the first 5 minutes, we were generally in control of the game without really creating anything. And that's always, for me, at the minute, a bit of a plus, because I know we have little bits of quality in that team, and you always know when you've got players like Aiden on the pitch that you're going to get chances at some stage. So there, we go to half-time, 0-0. We then get Kyril Louis-Dreyfus' interview. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the second half starts, and it's more the same. Sunderland generally in control, generally not troubled at the back. And eventually, Aiden with yet another assist, puts one over on his left foot. It's perfectly on that Aiden O'Brien's head, and he boom, heads it in. 1-0 Sunderland, and all's looking good. All is looking good at this point. We then make some changes. Aiden comes off, Chris Maguire comes on. He's on a corner in the 83rd minute, and Sunderland do one of their crazy routines that don't always seem to work. Cross comes all the way through. Max Power does this it was almost like an NFL style blocking move in the middle, and then Max Power runs around the back and then gets a good header in. Keeper probably should save it for them, but to be honest, I don't really care. It had plenty of power on. It was a deserved goal. We go 2-0 up on 83 minutes, and we pretty much know at this point it's done and dusted, and we can go home with the 3 points. So, overall thoughts on the match. Well, I was happy with the performance. I think we showed determination, grit, all the things you need. That little bit of quality. Both goals had quality in them. The quality of the crosses and the quality of the finishes. We had both good headers. And I think as well, considering we weren't at it tonight. We weren't, I don't think, playing at 100%, but defensively we were rock solid. The midfield controlled the game, and we managed to show them moments of quality which got us over the line. I also think with a makeshift back four, playing Luke O'Nien centre back, and that's not his position. Playing Dion Sanderson, who doesn't, he's not an experienced centre back. He's a young centre back who's came in this season. Playing Conor McLaughlin at right back, who's coming back from injury, and playing McFadzean at left back, who missed the game at the weekend through injury. I think we did a pretty good job defensively tonight, and you've got to say hats off to the players, hats off to the coaching staff, because I think first 5 minutes Fleetwood were testing us and seeing whether or not we could cope, but we could, and we were fine. And I think, massive kudos needs to go to the coaching staff and the players for the way they've came through this period of only having one centre back. But this was a game tonight that you need to win if you're going to get promoted. You have their midweek matches against sides who you struggle against, and you always know Fleetwood are going to be tricky and difficult and defensive. But we came through the test with absolutely flying colours. One thing, though, that's kind of on my mind at the minute, especially when Aiden came off on 60-odd minutes, I'm thinking, is it time we start rotating the squad a little bit? We've got Jordan Jones, Jack Diamond, Carl Winchester, to just name a few. We've obviously got quite a large squad. Is it time to start rotating, especially with our fixture list looking a little bit kinder? Playing Saturday, Tuesday, you're going to have to get some rotation in there. So I'd be interested to see. I think Jordan Jones in particular has earned the chance to start a game. But obviously this isn't me saying, Johnson's getting the team selection wrong. It's definitely not that. It's just a case of looking at it and going, we need to manage our resources a bit better and make sure that everyone's rested. Because the last thing you want to do is get all the way into the playoffs and the team run out of gas, which kind of happened in 2019. So let's talk a little bit about the Kyril Louis-Dreyfus interview. I know on Twitter there's been many people who've been pointing out the fact that I'd made a Twitter thread that said something along the lines of, I don't want to talk about ownership. And that screenshot's made its way a few times into my Twitter mentions, which is fair enough. But it's a screenshot of something taken completely out of context. Basically what I was saying was, as Sunderland fans, we need to have ownership, which means we can focus on watching football. and not spend like we have the last 10 years talking about ownership all the time as well as the football. That's basically the point I was making. It was this kind of this like a fantasy land of the ideal situation being a Sunderland fan. Of course, people keep screenshotting that and saying like, "Oh, you've mentioned the owners." Yeah, it is what it is. But I thought the interview in itself, it was interesting. Interesting that he openly said the club was being asset stripped. I don't think we've ever heard them words before, but obviously that's the way he feels. I mean, we know we've lost players through the academy. Whether that was asset stripping or not, we were guessing it probably was, but we didn't know. But to see the new owner say that the club's been asset stripped, that's quite impressive. That's quite a statement there, and fair play for him to call that out. But the main things I took from that interview is it feels like we have a little bit of a plan. We've all seen sort of the jobs go up, the restructuring of the academy. It's all happening very quickly. And I think it feels like for the first time in a long time there is a genuine, concrete vision of what we want to be as a football club. And Sunderland's just not had that for. I mean, we've tried it a bit half-arsed in the past with, what should we call him? Lee Congerton when he was in, Roberto De Fanti when they came in. We tried the director of football thing but stuck at it for 5 minutes, and when results went south we changed it. So I think it's exciting. It's exciting for Sunderland fans now to see that there is a plan there, and also, and this might sound a little bit weird, but I think now it feels like the football club is no longer stuck to what the result on the Saturday is. And what I mean by that is we have a plan that I hope won't change depending on what happens on a weekend's result. Like, it feels like this is going to be a very long-term thing, a long-term vision, maybe sort of 5 years' time that they're trying to view this thing. So you can't be knocked off course if you lose a game. It feels like previously, under previous owners and previous managers, Sunderland's ruled off that be-all and end-all of what that 3 o'clock result is on a Saturday. And I hope that this means that maybe we aren't as obsessed in terms of our decision-making by results on a Saturday. Because, of course, they are the most important thing, winning and losing games. Well, obviously not losing is important, but the results are very, very important. But if you have a plan and you stick to that plan, then you don't become obsessed with them results, and you know that in the long term, you're going to get success. I think ultimately this football club's going to take years, not months, to fix. And I think that's what I took from the interview. So other points worth talking about. We'll go back towards the football now. Aiden McGeady bagged himself another assist, 9 or 10, depending on where you read. He's got himself 2 goals this season. He's played 14 games, so we've played 28 now. So if you think about that, double his production from when Phil Parkinson wasn't playing him. What position would we be in right now? We've drawn 11 matches, remember, this season. So if you put in Aiden McGeady and he provides even half that, maybe 5 assists and a goal, where would we be? Because I think we'd have more points, that's for certain. It's interesting to wonder, come the end of the season, if we do fall short of the top 2, could that have been avoided had we had our best player, or certainly one of our best players, playing from the start. So there's a little bit of food for thought there, whether or not you think we'd be better off if McGeady was in at the start. Because obviously Phil Parkinson didn't rate McGeady, so who's to say that McGeady would have played, as well as what he is right now. But it feels like for a player that I was told continually was very, very selfish, we're seeing a player that isn't particularly selfish at all and is continually providing assists and is our spark in every single game. So I think that's my takeaway from watching Aiden McGeady at the minute. Other points worth knowing: we scored 44 goals this season, of which Charlie Wyke has 19. Grant Ledbetter's got 6. I was surprised he had so many, to be honest, but yeah, Grant Ledbetter apparently has 6 when I've looked at the stats. Other than that, though, we're stuck on like 2s and 3s throughout the team. I think we've got 10 goal scorers overall. So tonight, to see Aiden O'Brien score, Max Power score, that was nice because we haven't really been spreading the goals out enough. And I think for a team to get promoted, obviously having a 20 plus goal a season striker really, really helps, but also having some players who are contributing 6 and 7s is pretty important as well. And it's important that we get goal scorers all up and down the pitch, and that includes defenders, midfielders, wingers. We need to have more scoring, because if Charlie Wyke isn't scoring, you look at that and you go, well, who else is? So I think tonight, to see 2 different goal scorers on the sheet, that was pretty important to me. And Max Power should score more. I think he's got that in him. He should be a 6 or 7 goal a season midfielder. I think Aiden O'Brien, he's pretty much is a striker, so you would want 10 goals minimum from him, really. And you want to see some of the other players contributing as well. I think Jordan Jones has got goals in him. we can get him firing. Jack Diamond's got goals in him. If we get him playing, Aiden McGeady, we know that he will score goals. Chris Maguire, he's been out of favour a little bit, but he seems to be coming back in a little bit now. We know he can score goals. Carl Winchester, interesting to see what he's like. And we know that Josh Scones missed a boatload of chances, and I don't think he has scored this season in the league. So there's plenty of room to manoeuvre when it comes to our goal scoring, and tonight to get 2 different ones was pretty important. So this game's still going on as I record, but as I turned the record on, we were 5th in the league with 50 points. Our playoff position isn't secure by any stretch of the imagination. There's so many teams that have games in hand, and everyone seems to be clumped up in there. Nobody's particularly pulling away. Our home form is steadily improving. That's been the big concern for us, but to win back-to-back home games has been pretty big, and obviously we won midweek against Lincoln, who are one of the best teams in the league. And we've won 3 games in a row, which is vital heading into a period of 3 more games, which I think are pretty winnable. And speaking of them up-and-coming games, Crewe Alexandra away, Swindon and Rochdale both at home. They are 3 huge games for this club, because 3 wins there, which I think that should be the aim, really. If you look at this on paper, you would go Crewe, Swindon, Rochdale, 2 of which at home. Yeah, we should be picking up 9 points, especially since everybody else is playing Saturday, Tuesday as well. You look at that and you go, okay, so that would put us on 59 on playing 31 games. We'll have a good chance of even looking a little bit beyond the playoffs if we can do that. But the important thing is we don't shoot ourselves in the foot. We don't get ahead of ourselves. We know this is Sunderland Football Club and we know that this happens. But at the minute, I'm feeling pretty optimistic. Things are coming up for Sunderland right now. New ownership, results are improving. So you hope that we can come through this period of 3 games with wins, because I think we've got Portsmouth after that, which will obviously be a big game. We love our games against Portsmouth. So what a week, what a week, what a couple of weeks it's been. Things are so much brighter now, and I feel like the start of the season and the summer and everything that was happening with the world, it was a pretty miserable time to be a Sunderland fan, but then it feels like the shoots of recovery are coming, just as it feels like the world's getting back to normal. I certainly know my mood's been picking up the last week or so, just because of the results, but also the fact that that we are going to have some form of normality coming as well. So onwards and upwards, let's be excited. We're going to be coming back into this new era in the summer. Hopefully next season we'll be back in the grounds at full capacity, and who's to say what can happen at that point? We could be a championship club, and we could have new signings, new whatever else. Yes, it's a fantasy land. We might not get promoted this season, and we probably, I've continually said I don't think we are likely to get promoted this season. I would probably rank us having about a 20% chance. We are in a far better position than what we were 12 months ago. We were in a far better position than what we were in 3 months ago, and that's got to be the positive. I think this is probably the best position we've been in terms of ownership, in terms of performances on the pitch, since we were relegated to this level. So that basically means saying that since Sam Allardyce left in 2016, I feel like this is the best we've been. And speaking of Sam Allardyce, I've got another video on the channel right now going through his time at Sunderland. There's also a video about Roy Keane as well, so watch them if you're interested in reminiscing about former, I say glories, we weren't really glories, we didn't win anything, but certainly better than what we've had to watch the last few years. So watch them, let me know what you think of them, and thanks for watching, guys, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Please like if you've enjoyed it, and if you haven't enjoyed it, don't press dislike, just switch off, that's fine. And yeah, cool.